Welcome to the Virtual Ball Boys podcast. My name is Chris, and I am joined once again by my good friend, Matt.
Aaron, the type of guy to say the dream didn't cheat.
What? Yeah.
I reached this conclusion because he wore a Rise of Skywalker hoodie today.
Oh, is that the bat signal for the idea of the dream, that for people who think that Dream did not cheat?
Well, it's usually like if you are wearing a piece of clothing that says Rise of Skywalker on it, it probably means that you liked the movie, which means that your opinion should never be trusted.
Oh man, yeah. You know what? It would be probably like the 15th worst opinion that Aaron Rodgers has.
Correct.
in his arsenal. How was your week, man?
Wait, what else is wrong?
We'll get to that. How's your week? How was your week?
This has been one of the wildest weeks I think the NFL has ever had, at least in terms of when we started paying attention to it. Just with the news, with the games themselves. It's been a week.
It has. I can't remember a week that has ever been like this, and we recorded our episode on Tuesday last week, as we are doing this week, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, when we record as early as we do, you know, there's always something that's going to happen that's like, okay, that's something probably does not age well for our podcast. But man, was there so much that happened that was like, wow, we are gonna be late to the party on a lot of things, but at the same time, it has culminated in one of the more fascinating episodes that we're about to record. And just in terms of the content that we're gonna be talking about, it is purely insane what the last 7 days have been like for the NFL, indeed, like you said, Matt. So we're gonna get into that because we're gonna do it through our game recap stuff, because we do have a lot of games to talk. Yeah, we have a lot of. We're going to do our usual 3, but we're going to kind of touch on a lot of the games that happened this week, because I think all of them in some capacity are relevant in newsworthiness and how they have basically impacted the NFL moving forward. You know, and of course, we're also, as we promised last week, we're going to revisit the graveyard. We're going to revive a few teams. We're going to put some teams in their place. So that's going to be our pre next week's going to be our big season halfway mark show, where we basically redo all of our preseason predictions. So this is the prelude to that. And I'm kind of glad that we at least get one more week of football, because we need it for evaluation purposes, at least for me to understand what the fuck's going on.
Yep.
And then we'll do our picks at the end of the episode. But I want to start here. Last week, I had the audacity to pitch to Matt, "Hey Matt, let's do a power rankings. Let's just do this. You know what? This could really be a fun little thing where we rank, because no one knows what the top of the NFL looks like. Let's make a power rankings."
Right.
I want to revisit that specific power ranking real quick.
Let's do that.
Because
how many of them lost?
Oh, not great. It's not great here. The power rankings. I'm just gonna say whether I'm not even gonna read off the teams again. I'm just gonna just go from bottom to up and say which one of them lost. All right.
Yep.
Loss, win, bye, win. Well, that's surprising me. Loss, 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 loss. Okay, there you go. So that's where it's at. So it's
amazing.
So it was 6 losses. Our top 4, all of them lost. Then the Cardinals won. The Bucks were on bye. Ravens won and Titans won. Titans were an underdog to the Rams.
Yep.
And the Rams were in our top 4. And then Raiders lost and Bengals lost. If only we agreed on either the Chargers or Patriots, because those two teams won. But yeah, no, not great, guys. Not great. Never do a power ranking. It means nothing.
We're never doing this again.
Never again. Cue next year when I need a segment. I'm like, all right, let's dust this off. It's like the Mask movie where you like they discover the mask again and just all hell breaks loose. Whatever. It's not smart. Let's start with our how we usually do things, which is when we start our game recaps, we usually sort them into 3 categories. We have our game of the week, blowout of the week, team chaos of the week, and so we're gonna start with game of the week. And I think the best game this week was Vikings Ravens.
I was going to admonish you if that wasn't your answer.
Yeah, no, I mean it was a really good game.
It was a really good game, and it was probably the most normal game that it happened this week because the Vikings blew a lead and lost in the last second, and the Ravens miraculously came back in the fourth quarter. Like, this is what both teams do.
Yeah, that's what they have been doing, and that's the wild thing that I want to touch on with this game. And obviously you get more in depth analysis elsewhere, but I just cannot believe that there is this narrative around, and we touched on this last year, or not last year, we like in the beginning of the season where we start like the first few weeks, because the Ravens kind of kept on doing this. Where Lamar Jackson, the one thing that people kept on going back to is that because the offense is built around his running, and that the way that the offense is built is so different from everyone else, is that they can't, because of that, they are not built to come back. And we have seen on 3 different occasions at least in this year that the Ravens would have this massive comeback. They had it against the Lions, they had it against the Colts, and they once again had it against the Vikings twice. They were down 14 twice, and they came back both times in this game against the Vikings. I don't want to hear that Lamar Jackson can't fucking throw a football, because he can, and he absolutely is, I think, in the front running of the MVP again, because I think that he's playing out of his mind.
Yeah. I love watching this guy play. I own his jersey, and I really like Lamar Jackson, and I think that this is just proof that with a solid team around him, he can do amazing things, and even when others around him aren't playing to their best, he can still do amazing things, and not every player can do that.
Yeah. Exactly. I think that's kind of where we're at. The Vikings are what we think they are at this point. They've played the most wild freaking schedule I think we've ever seen out of a 3-5 team. But at the same time, like, it is very easy for me to just dismiss this Vikings team from here on out, even though they're going to keep on playing wild games, because they just, in these big spots, they keep on falling apart on offense constantly. It is very frustrating. And I want to see them kind of get their act together, but I'm kind of over it. I think the Vikings, this is just what they're going to be. Blowout of the week goes, surprisingly, to Browns at Bengals.
Wow.
41-16 was your final score, and this brings us to one of the news items that kind of dominated this week, and that was basically on Monday, prior to the trade deadline, Odell Beckham's father decided to post a video that showed a series of clips where Odell Beckham was open, and either Baker Mayfield ignored the fact that he was open or airmailed him, which in theory, I think you could probably do with a lot of quarterbacks in the league. It seemed a little bit on the nitpick side. I know Baker Mayfield's a punchy bag, but regardless, that happened on Monday. That kind of is what sped up the trade talks for Tuesday. There was a report that came out after the fact that the Saints were trying to trade for OBJ. That didn't come to fruition. And so then it was this long stretch during last week where OBJ was asked to stay home, and the Browns negotiated with him his release. And as of this recording, we have not seen any news on that front. We know that he cleared waivers today, so no one picked up his price tag necessarily, so he's a free agent. And now we're just kind of in the holding pattern of, will he sign somewhere else? For real quick, before we get into the game, Matt, where are you at with OBJ? Do you think that he's going to be a decent pickup for a team?
The answer is no. The Browns, it's always been the joke, the Browns and Baker play better without Odell Beckham. And I think that this specific game and everything that's happened the past week, this is irrefutable proof.
Yeah.
He is not good in the locker room. He brings a team down. I don't care how talented he is. He brings a team down by being around them. The fact that, I don't know, do you know when waivers run? Like when we'll find out if he was picked up on waivers?
He already cleared them. Like he's not getting picked up.
Okay, so in that case, easy pickup for any team.
Yeah.
No one wants him.
Well,
there was a meme, there was a joke, I said, okay, people want him. But there was a meme that said, Odell Beckham has agreed to play with the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers have not agreed.
So the thing about the waiver status for him is that it's not so much that teams don't want him, it's the fact that the price, that the contract that he had on waivers was a little on the steep side. It was $77 million or something like that was the price tag. And that's just a lot to pick up for a wide receiver mid-season on waivers. And so that, I think, was the reason why he ended up clearing the waivers. That, and also the fact that we've been hearing that if he got picked up by the wrong team, that he was going to throw a fit, supposedly. Yes.
Because, again, great optics for wanting to, like, I don't know. It's so stupid. It's childish. It is such like an ego move. I'm over this guy.
Yeah, I it's weird because like you do hear from people in the locker room that the Browns locker room liked him, and generally in terms of a public setting, putting aside what his dad did on Instagram, supposedly the locker room likes him, and that he has handled this whole release relatively well. But it's everything else around it that just kind of rubs you the wrong way. The idea that this didn't work out in Cleveland the way it did, and you're right. Like, this team constantly shows that they are so much better without him on the field. It's bizarre considering where he was with the Giants, and when he got traded from the Giants, how upset I was that he was traded from the Giants. I don't know what went wrong. I don't know what changed. I mean, I know that I know for sure that he definitely has this problematic side to him that clearly has affected, his ability to perform well in these games. I don't know. Or to at least get the football at the very least. It's very strange. The whole thing is wild. But yeah, you're right though. When you talk about this game in particular, like, this kind of shows that the Browns are still in it. They're not out of this playoff race. They're still trying to get back to what they were on their playoff run last year, and I think that I'm happy to see that. It's been a bit since we've seen this Browns team really just have a really nice win under their belt. And this is, I think, the first time this season it feels like, all right, this is a win that is very, like, that they are deserving of their praise. And now you have the Patriots next. If you beat up on the Patriots, you're back in the forefront of the AFC, in my opinion.
Yeah, I really, Browns are actually competitors again, and it's wild that you get rid of a talented player who wants to go to a competitor because he just doesn't gel with this team.
Yep.
And I don't think he's going to gel with his next team either, or any team after that.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll see. It's gonna be fascinating. Probably we'll get some sort of news within the next 24 hours, and I'll keep an eye on Twitter to see if it happens while we are recording. But we move on to the team chaos of the week, and there was so much chaos, and that's why we need to go through everything. But I think everyone kept on talking about how the Broncos at Cowboys was the chaotic
biggest upset
game, the biggest upset of the week. I disagree. I think it's Bills at Jaguars, and that's
absolutely
why I wrote down for our team chaos.
So if I told you that the Bills at Jaguars was going to be a decisive football game, and that Josh Allen was going to be the best player in the game, would you have believed me?
Yeah. I mean,
it was the wrong Josh Allen, though.
Right.
Gotcha. Got him.
Got him. Yeah. It was decisive on the in terms of their defense, like you said. Josh Allen on the Jaguars, he intercepted the quarterback. He fumble recovery, or forced fumble and recovery by Josh Allen, and also a sack on Josh Allen as well. You know, he had the trifecta of a defensive player. He just had a very, very solid performance. The Jaguars defense as a whole had a solid performance. Very reminiscent of the age of what Jaguars were back, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, where they were this, out of nowhere fun team to watch again on that front. The offense was still terrible in this game. And that's what kind of alarms me about this Bills team, in that they could not get anything going on offense, and yet they still lost to arguably, or what was going to be arguably, the worst team in the league. But now Jaguars have 2 wins under their belt, and one of them is the fucking Bills. It's insane. It's insane.
This entire week is chaos.
Yeah. I am in worry mode about the Bills, because
me too.
I feel like last week's Dolphins win was too close for comfort, and now you have the Jaguars game where, yes, you only lose by 3, but it's just a game that you should not lose. And now, I mean, you have the Jets next. Maybe that's the get right game, but it should not have even been the case. This is a very dangerous territory the Bills are entering right now.
If the Bills come up and just demolish the Jets, I will feel okay, and consider this just a fluke. Consider this Jaguars game a fluke.
Hopefully, man.
If it's close,
yeah.
I will be terrified.
Yeah, no, it's getting weird. It's getting very strange that things are just not kind of clicking the way they used to for the Bills offense. All right, let me just run through some of these real quick, because we need to get to the big one here. All right, so I don't think Jets Colts, not really much interesting. What did you think about the Broncos winning over Dallas? That was a 30-7 win.
Again, feels like a fluke. I'm not pulling the panic button on Dallas just yet. Just, hey, what the fuck, man?
Yeah. And earlier in the week, they traded Von Miller.
Yeah, so you think their defense would be worse, and then it was better.
Yeah, I mean, it felt like they reunited around the idea of, all right, Von Miller no longer in the building. Let's just play for him. Let's just play out of our minds, and they did.
Yep.
And yeah, just very bizarre. Another bizarre game. Falcons Saints. I mean, this one was. By the way, the most normal game of the week was probably Texans Dolphins.
Yep,
and that had 5 turnovers by the victor.
Oh, the Texans are so bad.
The Falcons Saints 27-25. The Saints came back in that game. Trevor Siemian ended up closing the gap a bunch, and then the Falcons almost gave it away on the goal line, but then were able to kick it the game-winning field goal with Younghoe Koo. This is one of the circumstances where, yes, should the Saints probably should have won this game, maybe, but also the Falcons are kind of getting better. They're getting more, I think, adjusted to their team a little bit more. They're 4-4. Yeah. I mean, they kind of
have an identity.
Yeah, they're kind of getting back into the things right now. And also it's a rivalry game, and anything weird can happen with those. Yeah. Let's touch on Vegas at Giants. I
got the chaos.
Yeah, so that was your chaos. Good job on that. That was, hey, Giants, good job. You know, your defense is starting to look good. You're making me feel a little bit better about this team for a second.
Again, finding their identity.
Yeah. But just to touch on real quick, because we didn't touch on it last week, horrible situation going on with the Vegas Raiders.
Yes.
Where Henry Ruggs got arrested for a DUI that resulted in the death of a woman that was walking her dog. Just a horrific details about that, going 150 miles down a street. It's just a brutal situation. Henry Ruggs got released and is now facing up to 40 years in prison, and most likely will never play down in the NFL again.
Nope.
But that's the lesser point on that front. And then I think it was on Saturday or even yesterday, they released David Arnett, their other first-round pick from that same draft, because of a video that he posted that was where he was waving a gun around, threatening to kill people. It's insane. This team has been through the fucking ringer. It's insane.
It is, and they're still standing.
Yeah. Even I will say, like, even yes, they just lost to the Giants, but I still kind of have hope in this Vegas team. I really do. I feel like they're still gonna do well this year, but it's just been brutal news after brutal news, and it's things that the people involved in it brought on themselves. But it's just wild. I have never seen a season like this for a team that is doing well in the league thus far. It's right. Just wild. All right. Green Bay at Kansas City Chiefs. Before on Tuesday, we picked this game with the idea that Aaron Rodgers was playing. Turns out on the next day, Aaron Rodgers gets COVID. And then we learn that Aaron Rodgers is not vaccinated. And so because of that, there's no way that he could end up playing in that game, because there is a 10-day waiting period for people who are unvaccinated to play another NFL football game.
Because of the woke mob, right?
Well, so this is where I'm going to get to now. So that was a thing, right? And then we find out that he's unvaccinated, and many of the media members came out and kind of commented on the idea that, like, hey, he told us when we were doing the press conferences, he told us he got vaccinated, but the term that he used was immunized. He did not say that he was vaccinated. He just said he was immunized, which
is not the same thing.
It's just
I don't think we need to go into a ton of details. If you know about the situation, you probably know what's going down. The bottom line is he lied to a lot of people.
Yep.
A lot of people were kind of like technically put in danger because they were hanging around him with the assumption that he was vaccinated. He was not. He was probably doing a lot of things that he should not have been doing as an unvaccinated player. Rules are rules. You need to follow them. And on top of that, rules are rules. You need to follow them. Because you were selfish and didn't get vaccinated, because you listened to fucking Joe Rogan, your team lost the game. Your team is probably going to lose the next game, unless you're playing for them. Because here's the deal, Aaron. You're a good football player. You are a bad teammate. And no amount of woke mobs canceling you is going to change that fact. You are in it for yourself, and that I am... Every feeling that I've had towards Aaron Rodgers over the past decade is feeling vindicated because of how much of a fucking asshole this guy has shown himself to be. And I'm getting really worked up right now.
Yes.
And I apologize.
No, I like it.
But it is, and I can say whatever anyone else will say. Kareem, if you have not read Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's article that he put out today, his blog post, fucking read it. It is an incredible look into the situation, what it's like to be like an athlete in power and the responsibility that you have as a public figure, and how Aaron did everything the worst that he possibly could have. So really go read that out. Aaron Rodgers, go to hell.
Yeah, I would also recommend Michael Harriot's piece on The Root, an open letter from the woke mob to Aaron Rodgers, which takes a little bit of a comedic slant on it, but is also just very, very a very good read. As well. Long story short, he went on Pat McAfee's show on Friday and spewed just every anti-vaxxer storyline that you could put under, and he admitted that he took ivermectin, which is hilarious to me. Aaron's
gonna shit himself. Shit yourself big game, Aaron. Prove you're real. Take the ivermectin before a game. Shit yourself on live TV. Do it. Redeem yourself.
He went on again today and tried to kind of apologize, but he did it in a way that you would expect from someone that's anti-vaxxer, by not refuting everything that he said as being untrue, but just basically saying, I'm sorry that I misled people.
No, it's the I'm sorry you're offended apology.
Yeah.
Which is worse. It is so much worse. It is the I'm not actually sorry. I just got caught and need to do some level of damage control.
Yeah. Someone reeled him in.
And I Pat, don't invite him on a second time. Like, I'm not a huge McAfee fan, but like I get doing it the first time, but if he's spouting shit like that, don't let him on a second time. I don't know. This is my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm all for kind of not giving people a platform if they're just gonna spew horrible shit. Nothing against Pat McAfee, but I did block him on Twitter because of that. Just because I'm over it. I don't need to see endless Aaron Rodgers quotes, and I know where this is going. I know who Aaron Rodgers is. It's really disappointing for me. I always, and you think, when you think about football players, you think about you want to see the good in them because they are these people who are amazing at what they do,
of course,
and you want, and for me, Aaron Rodgers has never come across to me as being very problematic. He's always seemed like pretty chill guy, someone that I kind of respected in the fact that he didn't always fall into the usual quarterback speak, that he kind of seemed to have a personality to him. I've always liked that about him, and I think that's why I've always kind of liked the Packers, because I've always wanted to see him succeed. Obviously that feeling has completely been hit, and I feel completely I feel like it's so disappointing hearing people, and it just goes back to everything that's been happening since the start of this fucking pandemic. It's so disappointing that people are going to believe a podcast host over actual people who go to medical school to learn about things like vaccinations and how important vaccinations are to people in our society. Obviously, if you choose not to get a vaccine, whatever, it's your choice. But it is just the fact, the bottom line is that they fucking work, and there's plenty of evidence to prove it. And it's just such it sucks when someone uses their platform and uses a talk show appearance to go on the air and spew horrendous shit that it isn't true, because there's one or two people that are listening to that might actually believe or get swayed into doing that if they aren't already swayed.
Yep.
And so it's just so disappointing. Kansas City won that game 13-7. Jordan Love
wasn't impressive, but
yeah,
they still won.
Yeah, no, Chiefs still have offensive issues, but Jordan Love did not play well either. I think there was maybe an opportunity, I think, late in the game where Jordan Love could have had a nice drive. He did have a nice throw, I think, late in the game where it seemed like they could have gotten themselves into a nice position to kick a field goal, but it just didn't end up working out for them. And one last thing on this, I do want to shout out Michael Smith of Brother from Another, which airs on Peacock. He called the fact that Aaron Rodgers was not actually vaccinated from the jump. He was he heard the term immunized, and on the show he was just like, he noticed that he used that word. I don't know if he's actually vaccinated. He said that on the air back in August, and he called it. Shout out to Michael Smith, formerly of ESPN, on Brother from Another. Yeah, and then Arizona and San Francisco. Arizona just, even without Kyler Murray, even without DeAndre Hopkins, kicked ass in their game.
Yep.
Just completely destroyed the 49ers. 49ers are in big trouble.
Arizona's back. Yep.
And then Titans at the Rams.
Titans back.
Titans back. It's amazing. Titans are still good without Derrick Henry. They're right now, it looks like they're the best team in the AFC. But once you get into that best team in the AFC category, look out. Because who knows what's gonna happen.
Titans, be careful.
Yeah, just be careful.
Be careful. Wear some extra protection. Packers were fined $300,000, by the way.
Oh, really? Was that news that just broke?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Well, that makes so much sense. They should have been enforcing the policy this whole time. He kept on saying, "Oh, it's a scarlet letter by me wearing a mask." Fuck off! It's
no. You're a dickhead. You are the biggest jagoff I've ever met. Okay. Can we talk about Monday night so I can let off that steam too?
That's exactly where we're at right now. We're at Bears at Steelers, Monday Night Football, the finale to this horrendous week. What do you have to say to this, Matt?
Oh my God, Chris! I was watching this and it started off. I was like, okay, this game's gonna be annoying to watch. I watched maybe till the third quarter, and then I was really tired, so I fell asleep. Yep. Because I was like, you know what? The refs are being so bullshit in this game. The Steelers are probably going to win. And I think I woke up around 11, and I had a text from both you and my dad saying, "Are you watching this?"
Yeah.
So that was like an hour after the game ended, and then I looked at Twitter, and I was like, okay, all right, Bears lost. I don't know what happened. And I went to sleep, and I woke up. Justin Fields, fucking amazing, dude.
Yeah.
Feel great. I feel great about how Justin Fields is playing. That's the positive takeaway I have from this. That might have been the worst officiated game I've ever experienced.
Yeah, and I think there was a lot of comments about the officiating before the taunting penalty that really became the talking point and the sticking point for a lot of people after this game. Yeah.
The biggest ones that made me mad, the maddest, was the all of the fucking blown calls that should not have been calls on the Bears. Like that weird one, out of the tight end box one, that he wasn't out of the tight end box and it reversed a touchdown. All the times that Justin Fields was late hit and they didn't call it. The defensive pass interference, that was definitely offensive pass interference. It was ridiculous how many calls went towards the Bears. And then the Bears, like, listen, Nagy bumbled it. Yeah, I'm going to go with bumble. He bumbled it.
Sure.
At the last minute by not managing the clock right. But he shouldn't have had to been in that situation in the first place because the Bears played well enough. And then the Steelers, the reason you get flags is because you broke the rules, and the Steelers broke the rules in order to win, essentially. And I'm not even mad at the Steelers because the refs should have called that shit. I think it's the earliest we've ever spent on an early segment, or the longest.
That's okay. I kind of figured that was going to happen.
Yeah.
It was a lot of bullshit, and obviously the taunting penalty, I think that you ended up missing, but
I know all about it.
Yeah, but Carius Marsh staring deeply into the eyes, passionately at the Steelers was enough for a penalty.
And then the ref fucking turning into him to bump into him before he threw the flag. Bullshit.
Yeah,
actual bullshit.
That whole thing I'm not too sure about, but the taunting penalty itself, something's got to change, man. And apparently the NFL is going to not even say anything about this. That this is what they want. This has been the focus this year has been on increasing taunting penalties, because that's the problem with the NFL.
Yep.
It's too many people being mean to another during the game. Obviously when people really act out of hand during games, yeah, it's a turnoff. It's not great to watch someone completely go irate during the game, but man, if it's just staring at someone or just talking a little shit, that's the sport, man.
And people can't fucking turn their bodies. What kind of shit is that? I'm more pissed. I was like, okay, this is gonna be a wild week of football, or it's gonna be just a bleh end with the Bears losing, which I would have accepted. If the Steelers just played a normal game, if that was a normal game of football and the Bears lost, I would be totally okay. But ref bullshit is, and I don't even blame the refs that much. That just was the biggest flagrant bullshit that I've ever seen throughout the entire game.
I think it's one of those things that where the refs are always going to be an issue. They're always going to be an issue, and I'm not going to sit here and defend any of this. I think the taunting penalty comes from the top, needs to fucking change. Fuck John Mara and his enforcement of that. Fuck the coaches as well. Mike Tomlin was saying today during his press conference that he is happy about how the taunting penalties have been called this year. Sean Payton is in charge of that committee. They're happy about I don't understand the whole idea that that's the emphasis that we're going to have on this league, focus on anything else other than this. It's just so bizarre. But I think it is one of those things where it is the refs had a bad night, and it's not like the Steelers paid them off ahead of time, because
no, I'm not saying that
conversation. No, I know, obviously, I know you're not. I'm just saying in general, that's always the conversation. Oh, all right, Rooney's in the pocket. The guy put the money in their pocket. No, it's not. That's not the case. It's just a bad game that they need to. Something should happen where they get reviewed for this, and maybe they get a game suspended because of it, maybe, or they just get told hey, you fucked up this whole thing. But publicly, nothing's gonna come of this. The NFL is happy about how this taunting penalty is being called, and it sucks. I don't get it. I just think that there's other things to worry about. Maybe the safety of your players rather than them being taunted.
The safety of being late hit. Sorry, I'm just
right. Exactly, but you're right though, and also, and again, for me, it's I don't like playing team sports or multiplayer games. Multiplayer games is more my shit, because I can't play a team sport because I'm a fat boy, but multiplayer games, I can't do multiplayer games because I don't like when people talk shit to me. I just don't. I have a very low tolerance for it, and I can't handle it personally. That's a me problem. But when you're playing a sport that is all about physically exerting yourself the way they do and hitting into each other, and it's just a violent, passion-filled sport that you're going to get emotions from people, and people are going to be emotional about the things that they're doing on the field. That you can't legislate that. You can't legislate that shit. You can't take that out of the game. That's just going to be there. And yes, people take it too far? Absolutely. But you can't, that can't be a thing that you're like, we must figure out a way to do that so that way the children at Pop Warner don't get hurt. Fuck that. Like, that's the NFL. That's not what the NFL is meant to. The NFL is not a learning lesson for Pop Warner. It's just, this is a professional league that's meant to entertain people.
Sports.
It's sports.
Why do we do this to ourselves?
It's insane. All right, we're 41 minutes in. Let's take a break, and when we come back, we're going to revive some people. It has been 2 years since we started Team Chaos Productions, and we would not be where we are today without the help of Anchor. You've heard us talk about it all the time, but let me remind you, this completely free platform gives creators the tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your computer or phone. Once done, Anchor will distribute your podcast to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more so you don't have to. You can also make some money on the episodes with no minimum listenership. It's everything you'd ever want in a podcasting platform, so download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Happy podcasting.
What makes Table Party different from other tabletop podcasts?
The music.
The setting.
The characters.
The gore.
A bunch of different games.
The refreshing coldness of ice cream.
The 300-foot-tall squid named Delilah.
The dice rolls.
The horrifying body horror.
The aroma.
The suffering of my players.
Dairy Queen blizzards.
The luxurious plush texture.
The free coupons.
Bad decisions.
And who can we expect?
I'm Kelsey.
I'm Matt.
I'm Gabe.
I'm Walsh.
I'm Chris.
Welcome to the Table Party.
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 And we're back.
How do we move on?
We're moving on, all right? Listen, they just listened to some great ads. They moved on, and now we will move along with them back into the graveyard, where we have a bunch of graves that we must examine.
Got my shovel. Okay, let's do it.
We must see whether or not we want to revive any of them. So, as a reminder, here is the group of teams that we have buried at this point of the season. The Jacksonville Jaguars, the Detroit Lions, the New York Jets, the New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins, the Atlanta Falcons, the Philadelphia Eagles, the Houston Texans, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the Chicago Bears. So now, us as a collective, meaning the two of us, will now decide whether or not we want to revive any of these teams. Matt, I have two teams in mind, but I want to hear from you. What do you think we need? Who do you see yourself reviving right now?
I only have one team, and I think I know who your second team is.
Okay.
But we can definitely we can definitely talk about that. So the obvious one is the Steelers.
Yes. Yep.
I think we need to dig them up immediately.
Yep. All right, so Steelers are revived, but now
the other one I think that you are going to say is the Falcons.
The only reason why it's going to be that for me is that they are currently the 7th seed in the playoff picture.
Damn, are they?
Mm-hmm.
The fuck is going on in the NFL, Chris?
Yeah, and to me, it's like we can't
say they're done when they're technically in the playoffs.
In the playoff picture, that's the thing. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at with it. So, do you think that we should revive them?
Yeah.
Okay. So, but I don't see anyone else. Do you?
No, definitely not. I think we nailed it pretty hard, like for the rest of them.
Okay, so then we have 2 slots, 2 graves open. Who do you think we should fill?
All right, I've got one right off the bat.
Okay.
The 40 so either the 49ers or the Seahawks. Or both. because I don't see them. Like, they would have to fight for a 7th seed. They're not winning the division. It's going to be the Rams or the Cardinals.
Sure.
I mean, the NFC East is the way it is.
Right.
The
Yeah.
NFC North is the way it is. I don't know. Like, I feel like one of them could still make it, but I don't know who or how.
So I feel like the reason why I'm not gonna I don't want to kill off the Seahawks.
Okay.
Because Russell Wilson's coming back this week, and I feel like they might be able to kind of get back into a groove a little bit with him back in the lineup. Not saying they're going to be great, not saying that they're going to win the division or anything, but I could see them, because of his return, maybe getting back into like the 6-7 seed spot.
Yeah.
And maybe causing a bit of havoc. The 49ers, though, I'm kind of with you. I kind of feel like this team's like... It's the only one that really makes a whole lot of sense, at least in that division, because I just... They're not at all playing well on either side. So I'm with you. Let's bury the San Francisco 49ers here.
All right, cool. All right, and now I have an obvious one and a wow, Matt, what the fuck are you doing one.
Okay, what's up?
All right, so the other obvious one would be Washington football team.
Yeah.
But if we want to be spicy, we bury the Chiefs.
I feel like we have to just go with the obvious one here.
Yeah, let's do it.
I mean, it is spicy, and I'm not saying that it's like, I definitely could see them missing the playoffs, but I don't know. The Chiefs are just weird, man.
It feels almost probable because you have the 3 AFC North teams. You've got the Bills, you've got the Titans, you've got the Raiders and Chargers. You've got, I already said Titans. Like Colts maybe. Colts and Chiefs are about the same level for me.
Yeah,
but it's like, the Chiefs could very easily miss the playoffs, especially if the 3 AFC North teams do it. If the 3 AFC North teams all stay pretty good, and even the Steelers are in it, could be 4 AFC North teams.
Right, that's the thing.
Yeah,
all of them are in some capacity playing well.
Yeah, and then you have to verse the Chargers and Raiders, and I don't think you're going to do it against the Chargers for sure.
It's very tempting. We're
gonna do Washington. I just wanted to state my case more for the Chiefs.
You're onto something. You're onto something for sure. It is wild looking at the AFC and seeing you have 11 teams that have 5 wins or more. You have the Colts that are 4-5 that are still in the playoff mix. That's 12 teams that are very solidly in the running for the playoffs right now in the AFC, whereas you could probably rule out a lot of teams in the NFC, which we have according to this list here. All right, so let's write it down real quick one more time. Our current game over group, as they stand now, are the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Detroit Lions, New York Jets, New York Giants, Miami Dolphins, new addition, San Francisco 49ers, Philadelphia Eagles, Houston Texans, new addition, Washington football team, and the Chicago Bears. We've basically, with this list, we are declaring the division in favor of the Dallas Cowboys, but honestly, I mean, that's...
Who else?
Yeah, who else is going to really compete at their level at this point, so... Wild week. I can't believe that we were able to even easily decide that, because there is just so much bullshit going on. It is time, folks, to go ahead and pick some games, and we're going to start things off with the Baltimore Ravens at the Miami Dolphins. So that's the other thing that happened this week. Dolphins, Tua ended up being out on Sunday in a surprise injury. Jacoby Brissett ended up playing. He might end up playing again this week. We do not know for sure yet, but it's against the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar Jackson's looking fire right now. What do you think's going to happen?
He's looking great. There's no reason to jump off the Ravens bandwagon unless this is another Jaguars-Bills situation, which hopefully it won't be.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. I'm going
Yep.
with the Ravens. It should not go that way, but oh man, who knows? Who knows anymore?
All right, Falcons coming off of their win, take on the Dallas Cowboys coming off of their weird, embarrassing loss to the Broncos. Do the Falcons have any chance to have another upset?
It's definitely. I wouldn't be surprised at this point. Anything, because it's all been weird. But I just think the Cowboys should still be in the running and should come back from this from their loss against the Broncos. Maybe things can go the way the Falcons-Cowboys matchup did last year, where the Falcons fucked up a onside kick.
Oh, I forgot about that shit.
Yeah, and maybe that's how the Cowboys win that way. But I think the Cowboys are gonna win.
I am also on Team Cowboy. Yeehaw.
The New Orleans Saints at the Tennessee Titans. Intriguing matchup. The Saints right now sitting at 5-3, currently trying to maybe catch up to the Bucs. They had their opportunity last week and failed. Titans 7-2, looking hot right now. They have won games against the Bills, the Chiefs, the Colts, and the Rams in back-to-back victories. What do you think's gonna happen?
This is a weird matchup. You still don't have Derrick Henry. The Saints defense is still very good. But I think that the Titans really want to establish themselves as the top team in the AFC. And I think they're going to win, and I'm going to guarantee the Titans.
Oh, I like it. I love that. I could totally see a situation again like with how this has unfolded. The top team in the AFC gets like knocked down a few pegs the moment they get to
establish themselves.
Yeah, right, exactly. Right when everyone's noticing, like, oh look, this is the best team in the AFC. Oh no.
Sure
so, but I will stick with the Titans. But I'll stick with the Titans as well. I like that guarantee for the Titans.
All right. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Will the Jaguars get a win against the Colts like they did last season, or will the I almost said the Coats, the Colts defeat their second green team in a row?
Jonathan Taylor is playing out of his mind right now.
Yeah,
he's playing very, very well. It is tempting. This is a tempting team chaos, though, just because of what the Jaguars did last week against arguably a better team. I'm going to stick with the Colts. I got to stick with the Colts for now, and we'll see how that unfolds.
Yep, sticking with the Colts as well.
All
Easy
right.
one.
Cleveland Browns at New England Patriots, one of the biggest games of the week. Both teams coming off of big victories. Both teams deep in the hunt for the AFC. Bill Belichick going against his former team. He head coached back in the 90s. What do you think's going to happen?
This is an interesting matchup, and I think that both teams kind of have an equal shot to win. This is like the biggest coin flip matchup of the week to me.
Yep.
I'm going to go with the Browns just because I think that they have a really great offense. They will be most likely missing Nick Chubb,
yep.
although Nick Chubb is vaccinated, so he does have a chance to play.
Yes.
Again, He is vaccinated, so he has a chance to play a football game. Never letting this go.
It's tough. I get it.
But they did a great job with Dearness Johnson. Dearness Johnson is going to get the start here, and I think that their run game and Baker being able to play is going to give them the win. So I'm sticking with the Browns.
Yeah, it's entering that territory again for me, Matt, where I'm like, I don't like picking against the Patriots.
Chris, come on.
I don't want to pick against the Patriots anymore, Matt.
Chris,
I don't want to do it. I'm gonna pick the Patriots to win this game.
Okay.
They're on a hot streak.
No,
right
they're a
now.
good team. They're a good team.
Yeah, I think that they granted though. How many wins at home has this been? One win. Like I don't think have they even gotten a win yet at home.
Maybe not.
Yeah, they're 1-4 at home. So I mean, maybe the Browns have them where they want them. But I feel like this team is starting to cook in a way that it's gonna be hard for. I think it's gonna be hard for teams to kind of. I don't think the Patriots are going to be like the best team in the AFC, but I think that they're just going to be such a tough out. And I've been picking against the Browns a lot lately, and it's partly been going against me a lot. But I just am. I feel like this is the Patriots' time to maybe go on a little bit of a run. So I'm going to stick with the Pats.
All right. Next up, we have the Buffalo Bills taking on the New York Jets, a divisional opponent. Bills struggling in games that they should be doing fantastic in. Is this going to be another one of those games?
It can't. It just can't for this team. This can't happen again for the Bills. I don't want to see the Bills. I don't want to see the Bills just go out like this. I would have rather seen them go at least deep in the playoffs and maybe lose there. It would really suck if they just start going on a slog of a losing streak.
Yeah.
I think they win this game. They should.
I hope they win this game, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm picking them.
Indeed. Next up, the Detroit Lions at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers, they're kind of, they're a bit weird. They're still struggling a bit on offense, but their defense is what's keeping them in these football games, and also the refs from Monday night. But we don't have to flesh out more. Detroit Lions, they're coming off of their bye, but we kind of looked at their schedule, and a win does not seem to be on the horizon. But what do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to pick the Steelers. I don't think the Lions win a game this season unless it's against the Bears, and I will cry.
Guaranteed. That's your guarantee of the week.
Guaranteed tears from my face if the Lions beat the Bears this season.
I'm also going with the Steelers. I don't love it, but I don't love the idea that we're in this position where we're now counting out the Lions. Because we've been counting in the Lions the past few weeks and they let us down. Now I feel like the moment we count out a fucking team, they're going to come... Because that's what the season has been.
That's what the season is.
So that's why I'm like, I don't know if I want to pick the Steelers, but I'm going to pick them and we'll see what happens.
All right. Tampa Bay Buccaneers take on the Washington football team, a playoff rematch.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Is that going to play into anything at all? Or do you think that the inverse records, 2-6 versus 6-2, how's that going to work?
Inverse records. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah.
I hate that I'm doing this to myself. I'm Team Chaos in the Washington football team.
Oh my god.
I'm only doing this because, first of all, this is just a bad week for Team Chaos. Second of all, which I said that last week, and boy, oh boy. And I think my theory, and I'm going to run off of, is the fact that no one expected that Tampa Bay Washington game to be very close. And it ended up being so. That ended up being one of the closer playoff games throughout the entire playoffs. And I just feel like there's sometimes things happen where teams going in opposite directions end up meeting, and a team that you're used to playing close with and maybe even beating kind of coming together again and seeing them in the regular season. I could see the Washington football team surprising people and winning this game. So I'm going with Washington football team. Kind of it gives me the same like level of like reminder of like the Saints and Buccaneers as well, where the Buccaneers ended up beating the Saints in the playoffs, but prior to that, the Saints have dominated the Bucs in the regular season. In last year's regular season, and then this year they end up beating, and the Saints once again take care of the Buccaneers. So I don't know. I feel like they just have some weird games against some weird teams, and maybe this is going to be one of them. So I'm going football team.
Cool. I'll stick with the Bucs, but I like the pick.
Very nice. Next up, the Panthers at the Cardinals. Panthers, do we even know who's starting at quarterback?
PJ Walker will be starting. Sam Darnold has a torn, was it scapula?
Huh?
I forgot what a scapula was.
Spatula.
Scapula. It's like part of your shoulder. But you got shoulder issues.
There you go.
So he'll be out for 2 games.
Okay. Yeah, I did not see that. So then PJ Walker will be playing in this game against a Cardinals team that is hot. What do you think's gonna happen?
I still really trust the Cardinals. This is a NFC Championship game rematch from a few years ago, which is neat. But I think that the Cardinals will be the victor in this one. Really like the color combination matchup though.
Yeah, it's an interesting grouping, that's for sure. I'm going Cardinals as well. Feeling good about that.
All right. Next, we have the Minnesota Vikings coming off of their crushing loss, facing the Los Angeles Chargers, who were able to reestablish themselves. Will the Chargers continue to establish themselves?
I think they do. They're playing weirdly close games right now, but I think that if they, they have tended in close games to, I think, be on the winning side. More often than not, and I think that's going to happen here. And I feel so good about it that I'm going to guarantee them.
Very nice.
I'm guaranteeing that. I'm guaranteeing the Chargers. I think that they'll take care of the Vikings.
Cool. I'm also picking the Chargers. They are a good football team, and I want to see them continue to do good.
Yes, indeed. Next up, the Philadelphia Eagles at the Denver Broncos. Broncos are coming off of the big freaking win over the Cowboys. Now they go to another NFC East team in the Eagles, although they're hosting the Eagles this time. Eagles, of course, coming off of that loss to the Chargers. What do you think is going to happen?
I think that the Broncos will still play this game pretty good enough. This is another weird one, though.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Broncos. Anything could happen, though. Any weirdness can occur, but I feel pretty good about the Broncos. I feel like they're going to be back on track now that, I guess, Von Miller is gone. I don't know. That's just, it's weird to say.
Yeah, strange. We have the Seattle Seahawks at the Green Bay Packers. I love it when these teams meet up. Is Aaron playing?
That's the question.
That's the question. Sure fucking is. Okay. However, Russ may be playing.
He'd be back. Well, I think he's cleared to play. I think they announced that.
Yes, correct.
So Russell Wilson's playing. Aaron Rodgers might not. Rodgers says that he's symptom free, but with all the bullshit he's been spewing, who knows if that's true. I'm going to stick with the Packers. Even if Jordan Love plays, I think it's a different circumstance with the Seahawks team. I know Russell Wilson, I would like to see him come back and, crush the Packers here, but I feel like the Packers still have enough talent, especially on the offensive side, where I think Jordan Love in a second game appearance might be able to make up for the mistakes from his first. But I also think that Aaron Rodgers will be cleared and he will be in this game. So going with the Pack.
Cool. Whether he's cleared or not, I think Russ being back is going to be a huge boon for this team. I'm going to team cast the Seahawks.
Love it. Love it. Love that so much.
Because fuck this Green Bay team. I hate them. I hate it. I want to see them continue to suffer for this one decision to derail their entire season, which it perfectly could.
Yeah. It definitely could. Next up, the Kansas City Chiefs at Las Vegas Raiders on Sunday Night Football. The Raiders coming off of the tough loss in New York. The Chiefs coming off the win against the Packers, still not quite looking themselves. This is a very intriguing matchup, maybe one of the biggest of the season. What do you think is going to happen?
I'm going to go with the Raiders because I do not trust the Chiefs.
I am with you, man. I'm picking
All right.
the Raiders as well. I'm picking the Raiders. And again, maybe it comes back to bite us. I think that it's just been a rough week I think it was a rough week last week for the Raiders with everything that kept on happening with them. I think that this time around that I think they could come back and they can and they've shown that even when the Chiefs are good, the Raiders could win against the Chiefs last year. So that doesn't and to me, now that we're on this kind of this Chiefs weirdness pattern where their offense is just not very good, I think the Raiders can do it. Now, if Odell ends up signing with the Chiefs, that might change things a bit. But
the Chiefs will do even worse. There you go.
We'll go. I'm going with the Raiders though.
Yep. All right. And Monday night, remember that awful intro that I bungled the other week where I said, "Oh, it's weird that the Sunday night team plays Monday night the next week." Happening again.
Yep. There you go.
Rams playing the 49ers. Rams losing to the Titans. 49ers losing to the Cardinals. Will the Rams be able to bounce back from that loss against a worse team?
I think that this is a bounce back game for the Rams. I think that they is still a good football team. That I think in this game, and granted, Kyle Shanahan has had Sean McVay's number a bit on these games, but I think the Rams are gonna end up proving that they are still a dominant team while the 49ers kind of continue to slip.
Yeah, I still have a ton of faith, ton of trust in the Rams here. I'm gonna go with them as well.
All right, so that means if I'm looking at this correctly, I believe
our chaoses and the Belichick Bowl.
That's right. All right. So once again, 3 disagreements, and just to rehash last week, Matt, somehow in all the chaos, you went 9-5, got your chaos, got your guarantee, got 5 points. I got nothing, 6-8, lost my chaos, lost my guarantee, got -3 points on the week, and that means, Matt, you are sitting at 85-51 record with 33 points. I'm sitting at a 79-57 record at 18 points.
18.
It
wow.
is getting away from me. But we have still half a season to go, so we'll see.
Yep. By the way, I had been alternating getting my guarantees right and wrong this entire season, and last week was the first week that broke that trend.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I got all of the odd weeks until last week. I've gotten incorrect. 1, 3, 5, and 7. I failed.
Huh. Interesting. And then 6. It's 2 and 6 were your chaos victories before this past week. Interesting. All right. Well, yeah. It's one of those things that nothing has been going my way for sure, but you have a winning record with the guarantees at least, so that's good. That's a good thing. That's what it should be. Anyway, but anyways, that's gonna do it for us. What a long episode, but a very chaotic week. Wow.
I do want to.
Can we take a break from
no
chaotic NFL week?
We can't. I do want to just real quick say,
yes.
If you are listening this far, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes.
I am not one who usually is a fan of super negative content, so I apologize if I came off extremely belligerent during the podcast today. I just had a lot on my mind, and I still hate Aaron Rodgers, so that part hasn't changed. But just wanted to felt like I had to say something a bit, just because I went a little more intense than I usually do.
No, you're good, my dude. It's I think it's understandable. I think that's how a lot of people feel in the moment when you kind of are watching someone that should garner people's respect in what he has done as a Hall of Fame career.
Yep.
Seeing him basically fall into a trap that many other people have, unfortunately, it's just a bummer. It's just a real fucking bummer. And so I completely understand your anger on it. Plus the fact that it is validation for your hatred for Aaron Rodgers all these years, in a way. Now, I don't know if this is how you wanted that to be validated, but this is
I just wanted him to lose. I don't know, lose the NFC Championship again.
Yeah, that it wasn't so much like, oh, fucking, we didn't want to have it to become a vaccination problem. We just wanted to see, as a Bears fan, you just want to see the Packer guy lose. But
right.
Now it's just turned into
now it's like,
asshole.
okay, now I want to see this dumbass have his career fall apart. That's all.
Yeah. That's kind of where we're at. That's kind of where we're at. Well, what a week, and let's hope that I'm jinxing it, but I'm like, let's hope that nothing horrible and crazy breaks tomorrow. Knock on wood. Knock on all the wood. Thank you all so much for listening. VBBFL is up now on the podcast services. It was uploaded on Monday. If you want to watch the video version of that, it's up on YouTube. That is week 3 of VBBFL stuff. Thank you all so much for listening, and we will see you next week.
Good night and good ball. Or is it? Who knows anymore? Virtual Ball Boys has been brought to you by Team Chaos Productions. Find us on Twitter at Virtual Ball Boys and find more of our work at Team Chaos Pods.